Hello, and welcome to season three, episode 45 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee, and I'm going to be all over Kansas City, you guys. Um, so I'm going to start off on the Vivian Trail because there's so many parts of that Vivian Trail. I was just on a little baby part of it. Then I'm going to talk to you about my time on the MCC Maple Woods campus that's up north of the river. And then on Juneteenth, I took a trip to Lawson, Missouri, to the Watkins Woolen Mill Museum, and it was amazing. I want to make sure I got that name right because there's so like I had no idea that Watkins Mill State Park was so encompassing. So I went to the Watkins Woolen Mill State Park and Historic Site, and yeah, I had quite the adventure on Juneteenth because they had kind of a program there. And so, yeah, and then I'm going to talk to you about comfort. And instead of looking for a creator, I'm actually looking in my own mailbox. And maybe you're getting these pieces of mail as well. And I know that with mail, people are like, girl, why is there paper in my life? I don't need the paper. But before you throw these out, I would say thumb through them a couple of times. So, you might be missing out on events because sometimes we can't always catch all the events that are online. There's so many. Sometimes, getting them in the paper form can kind of like you can kind of get a better sense of what the event is going to be about. Okay, so without further ado, we're starting off on the Vivian Trail. Now, if you know anything about the Northland, the Vivian Trail, it's pretty expansive. It goes a lot of places. There's a different parts of it as well. So you've got the Vivian Trail, the road trail, and that's from North Oak Trafficway to North Highland Road, and that's where I was at. And then you've got the Vivian Trail at the Anita B. Gorman Park, because that's part of it as well. And there's just different parts of it. And so I've already been to that one, and I've talked about that one. But I went to the Vivian Road Trail, and I went to the trailhead closest to North Highland Road because I didn't have a lot of time. It was over lunch. I didn't have a lot of time. And so I took some video, I took some pictures, and it's a nice, cute little walk. Like it's a nice, cute little walk. And it's kind of in the middle of like in one direction you're going towards the highway, and another direction you're kind of like more like in kind of like more in town, and it's a walkable place. So if you were living near in the area, you could either go and walk to I think Seven Brews, is that what it's called? I still have never been because the lines are always so long. And I love it. Like it's a nice, cozy little walk. It's not super long. And again, I was just at the I was just maybe at the first, not quite quarter mile of it because I've already walked it before, but I'd never really stopped at that end of it and taken pictures of that walk. So that was kind of exciting for me. And I'm always saying, listen, wherever you live, whether it's Missouri, Kansas, wherever you live, there's probably some cool trails. Okay. Maybe you have one cool trail. I don't know, but there's always some good kind of walking, some good park walking that can be had. And we're still in the earlier parts of summer. And so I got lucky. It wasn't too humid at lunchtime, but sometimes it is humid. And sometimes, those walks, I think, either get relegated to the morning time or they're relegated to kind of like early fall. Okay. Now, I also went to the Metropolitan Community College Maple Woods campus, which I kind of like that place. They've got a nice trail. I've walked on that trail before with a group of friends. I didn't have enough time to walk the trail. This time I kind of like explored the campus a little bit. And there's beautiful trees and beautiful places to picnic and just really beautiful spots to read a book. A very peaceful kind of campus. Now, granted, it is summer and a lot of people are doing their classes online and stuff like that, but still, I've been there during the fall. And yes, it's kind of bustling, during the day, but it's not overwhelming. It's just a nice spot. And I didn't get a chance to go into the library because they were painting and everything like that. But it was really like, from what I could tell, it's got like a nice little vibe to it. So yes, definitely. And I'm looking into maybe taking some classes, maybe not this year. So many things are crazy, but I was like, you know what? I bet you there's a couple like, I'm thinking It's been a while since I've been in a class because I got my master's a few years ago. I'm kind of ready to kind of like maybe get back into the classroom in the next year or so. And I was like, you know what? That's college is not super far away from me. That might be a nice little educational respite for me. Okay. Now, Watkins Mill Museum. And it seems like I just blew through the first two things I had to talk about because I'm going to spend some time on the Watkins you know, Mill Museum. It is, I don't know why it took me so long to go to this place because it is gorgeous. It's in Lawson, Missouri, and it's like an 100-acre lake, right? And there is the Watkins Mill State Park. Okay, let's start with the state park. So I did not have a ton of time. Unfortunately, I always feel like I say that. I was like, I didn't have I had like an hour, maybe 2 hours. And so it's about 40 minutes away from me. So I was like, okay, I kind of had some plans afterwards. So I was like, okay, what I need to do is like really focus on the museum and then I'll come back around. So it's an 100-acre lake. It's got a paved bicycle path. I guess people fish there. There's a campground. There's picnic spots. And I guess there's lots of white-tailed deer and wild turkeys. Now, I didn't get to kind of get into that, but I will. That's definitely on the list for another thing to do. What you need to know when you're driving is that, like, once you kind of like, the directions take you to, you get onto the state into the state park, the roads are windy, okay? They're windy and they're kind of on the narrow side. So don't be speeding through there because you got people and animals and all kinds of things. So kind of, drive at a reasonable speed, a reasonable safe speed, a safe and sane speed. And also, the park does close at sunset. Now, I came like kind of in like mid-morning, but if I were to like want to do the whole kind of park or get like a kind of like a feel for it, I would probably get there around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I'd check out the museum, and they open different hours. So you got to check the hours, like when they're going to be opening. I would go to the museum, I'd walk around, and because you're going to do a lot of walking, so wear some comfortable shoes. Beautiful. I mean, lots of chances to take beautiful photos, see nature, all of that. Now they do have tours. You've got to schedule those tours though. Like they're self-guided where you just kind of walk around, and but in order to get into the buildings, you have to sign up for a tour and pay for a tour. The tours aren't very expensive. Um, I opted to not do that because it was kind of like humid on Friday. I was like, I'm not doing all that. Like I just want to, get to my Juneteenth like activity and then, walk around and then kind of go home. Um, but, again, something to think about. If you want to get into the house, you want to get into the mill, you need to like pay for a tour. And I didn't get to tour the whole thing because, like I said, I was on a time crunch. But this is definitely when I go back again, I'm gonna go around like 10 a.m. and I'm like 9 or 10 a.m. and I'm just gonna spend the time really walking around there. And then, of course, I'm gonna because it's a lake. I'm gonna park my car like where the lake parking, hit that lake and like take some pictures, like walk around, absorb it. And there's like a picnic area to go to as well. I posted this on my TikTok. I've been posting the videos on my TikTok, and somebody puts on there, there's too many raccoons in the campground. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to note that. Someone did say there's too many raccoons in the campground, but I generally don't camp like that anymore. I'm more of a cabin gal myself, but yeah, it's beautiful there. It's really got like a nice vibe, and the next time I go through, I'm going to definitely take a tour of the buildings. I'm going to schedule a tour of the buildings. And then something else is now I haven't been to lot like I didn't go to downtown Lawson. I feel like Lawson's a place I've been to like when I was on my way to Kansas City. Um, but I haven't been there in years. Like I haven't sat down and so that's also on my list. I want to take a day where I just, you know, go through and spend a meaningful day in Lawson. Yeah, and so I would definitely recommend wearing the walking shoes. It's fine to go by yourself if you want to go with somebody, but just make sure you got all the things because I mean, you're walking. Like you got to kind of like be aware that you are going to be walking around. Now, look, you can't just be someone like me. Sometimes, not all the time, but like sometimes I'm just doing the inside tours. Like I'm not walking around outside. If you decide, hey, I just want to do the inside tour of the visitor center, then kind of walk, but you're still walking to get to the house and you're still walking to get to the mill. So yeah, definitely I would wear some comfortable walking shoes. Definitely. And then also something to kind of keep in mind is that there's not really food on the premises. So like there's not like a kitchen or anything like that. So if it were me, and you can't, I don't believe you can have food in the buildings. If it were me, I would come like I'd already eat breakfast. And then I would like walk around and maybe like go to lunch someplace and then maybe come back, like, return um to like kind of hit the lake. Or why not weekend in Lawson? You're like, girl, but yeah, why not? Maybe get like a cute little Airbnb and weekend in Lawson, stay and then, explore the next day because the Watkins Mills Museum is open on Sundays. And some of these museums are not. They just open like an hour later, but they are open on Sundays during their season. And I think their season runs from April through October. So, yes. Definitely. And of course, it's me. I talk to some of the staff members and I'm like, listen, I always have to do this pitch. Please start a podcast. Please, with all the museum people, get together, start a podcast, give us something. Like I said in my previous episode, I would totally listen to a 15-minute kind of history primer, right? Or or maybe the following, like the next episode is like 30 to 40 minutes and it's a little bit of a deeper dive. I really enjoy those, like the variety of that, like because I was telling them like originally I looked into doing like a museum podcast, like just straight museums. That's what I'm doing, but it was so vast and it was so, I was like, oh my gosh, this is way too much. I'm not going to do this justice. I need to bring some professionals in here. Okay. And so yeah, so that's my call to action. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I was born to do a museum podcast." Yes, I am here. I'm supporting you from Quaint and Cozy KC. Okay. Now, the bit of comfort that I have right now is just the things I've gotten in the mail. Like, there's so much stuff going on in the world, but you know what? The good news is there's also a lot of stuff going on in your community. So right now we have got like our community education uh up north here. It came out for summer 2026. Now, June's almost over. So some of these classes are, they're already kind of in the swing of things, but there are also some classes that start in July and August. Apparently there is uh there's a clay hand building. So you can hand build pieces using clay. So they've got apples or pumpkins, and now that's going to be in August because the one for whimsical wind chime that's wrapping up. That's no, it looks like it's already wrapped up. So you've got that. Looks like ghostly group clay hand building, and that's happening in September, right in time for a little early Halloween. Then they also have like enrichment. So there's somebody that is teaching classes on like film, schools of film. So right now they're in the midst of Hollywood Romantic. So that's going to be wrapping up, I think, next week. But uh, July 15th, the Neo Western starts, and that runs from July 15th to August 19th. And it looks like the classes are from 6 to 9. They're going to screen 5 films with generic tropes of the Western, but in settings far removed from cattle drives and six guns. So that'll be kind of cool, like to kind of have that, like it's the tropes, like it being Western, but it's like taking place, in a city. So that's kind of cool. Um, Also, it looks like they have, a couple of lectures on finance, like about Social Security. Um, Also, it looks like they've got some Tai Chi going on. Okay, intermediate type Tai Chi, beginning Tai Chi, advanced Tai Chi. Then it looks like there is a Spanish class that starts next month and it's online. And some of these are in class and some of these are online. I really appreciate that. That's really kind of cool. Then they've got like a low intermediate Spanish and like looks like they have some self-defense classes going on. So as I read these, you're like, wait, what? Yeah, I mean, again, you can find these, you can go online and find these classes, but I always appreciate getting kind of like the paper version of them. See here, I'm looking through here. These just look like ads, but yeah, definitely check out your community education. They come out generally seasonally, like so summer is out, and I'm sure next month they'll put something out for the fall classes. Now I'm going to Kansas Country Living, and I get this because I'm part of a co-op. Um, and let's see here. And they're talking about it here. They've got like this cute little crossword puzzle. Again, kind of cozy. And they're also talking about like home renovation stuff in here. And then there are things to do around Candace. Now, obviously, a lot of this is already over because this is the June, and I did not get my act together to read this like I had planned. But they do have, things listed like the farmers market in Leavenworth. That's still going on, but they had some special programs going on, and something else I would ask you guys to kind of look into is like I know you're like watch local news, what? But some of the best local news is happening on the weekends, and they'll tell you about things going on. See here, what else do we have here? Oh, and they have got this whole article on making an old house work for today. And you know what? That is so true because we love going through these really cool, quaint cottages and townhouses and structures. But like, and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could live here or something. And then, but the reality of living in those cute, quaint places is that, you've got a lot of issues because some of the things that you're, in your house have like, they've kind of like they're not making those specific things anymore, or if they are it's very expensive. It's hard to kind of get like to obtain, so that again that's something to think about because I was all when I first bought this house, my townhouse, I was like, man, I should have gotten like a cool little fixer upper. But now that it's been 6 years and I've had to do some work on this place, I'm like, you know what, and this is like a mild fixer upper compared to the houses that I was dreaming about. um, yeah, this is definitely a mild fixer-up, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't go all the way. So, okay, so look, let's see here. We've got another one for July. Looks like we've got right now, we are in the midst of, if you're in Barton County, Great Bend, they're having their county fair. And, we are in county fair season. So that's something to keep it, consider, I know for a lot of people, they're talking about how, well, when you go to the county fair, the rides are expensive, everything's expensive. I would say this, like bringing kids to the county fair, well, yeah, you're going to shell out a couple $100s, right? You're going to have to do, some of the things, whatever. But if you're going as an adult and you don't have any kids with you, it's actually pretty easy to have fun and, keep it under $20. It is possible to do that, but I would always suggest eat first, like eat before you go. That way, if you do get something, it's like a funnel cake and maybe like a drink instead of trying to like, eat all this fair food because that will bankrupt you. And looks like we've got this weekend Kansas Summer Spirit Fest in Leavenworth. Um, we also have like there's some really cool stuff going on. There's a pie and ice cream social in Kansas. That's where I'm trying to go, kind of like in more like central Kansas area, July 10th. So that's kind of cool. So yeah. Okay, so I'm just kind of like going through that one. So that is a little bit of comfort. And then let's see here, what else we got for our comfort. I saw, let's see here. Okay, so I've got the Gladstone Parks and Rec Cultural Department here. They have got a lot of things going on. They've got a lot of family activities, around aquatics generally. They've got story time in the park for the kids. And I'm just kind of like thumbing through here real quick. Now, some of the and again, I'm in that Gen X category, so I'm in a whole new thing. So they also have theater in the park golf classic, um, which is happening at the end of next month. You can register, I think, until uh 24th of July. It looks like there is a whiskey fest that's going to be happening in October, but tickets are available in August. There is the Scarecrow Run. Um, and Lynn, that's in Gladstone. I might actually do that. That's not too far away. Okay, okay, I'm looking at this. When you're in the Northland, everything is so close. Like I take it like when I was living in Overland Park, I was like, man, I feel like I've been driving forever in Johnson County. But no, it's pretty close. Things are pretty close up here. So there's a Scarecrow Run. I'm like, okay, that could be fun. Okay, now if you're of a certain age, they've got, all kinds of fitness things. Now, listen, you're listening to this and you're not north of River. You're like, girl, why are you reading all this stuff out? I'm reading this stuff out because if you're in Lenexa, Overland Park, Olathe, you know, uh, Kansas City, Missouri proper, there, I know for a fact there are Parks and Rec guides that they're sending out to you. So open them up and, check them out. Looks like there's a ladies' bunko night, um, yoga on the farm. They've got like adult rec league. I think they must meet. Okay, so yeah, they've got an adult rec league, and it meets Mondays, July 6th through September 28th. Okay, I maybe fun. They've got a fall pickleball league. That's not really my thing, but I know I have some friends that really love that stuff. And they also have like it looks like they've got um trips, like, like local trips that you can kind of like there's travel agents to book you to go to Utah or Branson or Montreal and Quebec for Christmas. Like, well, again, November, like late November, early December. Looks like that's a week. And then Australia, got some trips they're booking there. So that's kind of cool. And then it kind of tells you like event rentals, which no one ever thinks about an event rental until you actually need one. And then it looks like they have all kinds of like beautification activities. So yeah, see here, household, electronic events. Yeah, I mean they've got all kinds of things that they are doing. I'm like, man, it's like it is really bustling up north. Okay, so that is all that I have. As far as comfort, and again, comfort is looking for your local city magazine because you're probably getting one in some form. And now some everybody has different budgets, so maybe the city magazine you're getting is like an email newsletter, but really check it out, read it. There's probably some stuff that you're missing out on. And of course, the community ed pamphlet that comes out. And then I read something from Kansas Country Living, and that's part of a co-op that I'm a part of. But again, a lot of different places will send AAA sends me things, and I make sure to kind of like look through. Now everybody's got a different schedule. I know 10 years ago it would have been really hard for me to do that because I was super busy, but now my time is a little bit more free to do that. But again, that's just something you might want to, especially if you want to stay offline. If you're trying to kind of do a more of an offline life, like you don't want to be online like 24/7, picking up a book or a magazine or a pamphlet or something like that kind of helps you to kind of stay out of those digital streets. Okay. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for the support. You can find me at quaintandcozykc.com. I am on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok at I'm sorry, not Aunt Lanie's Kitchen. Sorry. That's my other podcast, Quaint and Cozy KC as well. And I'm also I started a Tumblr. I've started posting on Tumblr. I've started posting on my Quaint and Cozy KC Substack as well. Um, I'm kind of doing like that's more of like a weekly kind of thing, and that's same with Tumblr. I'm just doing it's like a little weekly kind of thing, and that's kind of what I'm doing with that. And yeah, so I'm really excited to kind of like start things off. Ooh, it's going to be like a really good summer has just really kicked off and it's been really fun so far. It's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'm excited for my next adventures that I have coming up. I've got like on the docket, I've got an art gallery visit planned for pretty soon. And then I'm definitely going to check out one of the World Cup watch parties. I'm not going to the fan fest, but it's been really great that the communities, the suburban communities, suburban communities here, they're offering like watch parties. So you can kind of just roll down. You don't have to deal with like the fan fest, although it looks like they're having a lot of fun. But you can just kind of roll down, hang out, and go home. I plan on going there, watching the first half, and then promptly going home. That is the plan. Hopefully the weather next week is with us and it's good and all that other stuff so that I can kind of be out there and dancing, having fun, watching soccer. Okay, take care, everyone. I will talk to you soon.